forward to this computer. All right, we are recording, gentlemen. Lordy, lordy. All right. This is good. Nothing happened. Bill Mooney didn't disappear from my screen, so he's still here.
Yep.
That's
I'm
good.
here.
All right. Okay. Let's start off with something here, a little groundwork. I'm going to be referencing two folders that FLDigi, excuse me, and Flmsg and Flamp all use. And since I'm a Linux user, I want to show you guys who are Windows users what I'm talking about in the Windows area, so you can actually see these folders. So I'm going to start my screen sharing here. I'm going to my file manager. Okay, what we're looking at here, if you look at this window, this is what you would see if you were in the root file system of your Windows disk. All right, the boot, save, there's your Windows directory, so forth, so on. That's what you would see. Under here would be the users. That's what you log in on. Okay, my user ID is WTJ1. Whatever your computer is set up to use as your logging, as you log in as your user, that's what you're going to be looking under. If you look under WTJ1 here, you're going to look for two folders. One is the FLDigi files, okay? The other is the NBEMS files. Now I call NBEMS NBEMS. It's been that way since 2009 when we started fooling with this. So that's what we're looking for. So if I represent .FLDigi or .NBEMS, these are the same files. And if you look at them under Windows, it's the same file structure as in Linux. They're identical. The only reason is Windows has to cannot have a dot as the first character of a file name. So it uses NBEMS files and FLDigi files. So just remember that, guys. If I refer to it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. All right, that's the only thing we need to mention here. All right, let me close that so I'm not using any more resources than I need. Screen share stop, Windows closed. Okay. All right, go back down here. Put that down. All right, we're going to start the screen sharing again. Everybody here, has everybody here ever used FLDigi? Are you familiar with it at all? I'm hoping that you are. Okay, yeah, I see a hand waving up there. And I know NY3J and I know Chris and all the other guys and have used it, and Dave has used it. So it isn't a completely foreign tool to you. All right. We have moved over to my my VHF PC. This is FLDigi. We're going to start with Flmsg, so I want to give you two things that FLDigi needs to have done so that Flmsg works properly. All right. Files, over to configure dialog. First thing I want to mention, under miscellaneous, all right, there's the NBEMS interface. This has to be configured. All right. This has to be configured. If you do not have this section configured, FLDigi will see an Flmsg arriving and say, "Oh, that's nice. Have whatever, and just show it on the receive page." Unless this portion of it is configured, FLDigi treats Flmsg just as characters. With this configured, it actually will start the Flmsg program and put the message that's being received into Flmsg for you. Okay, this is the two things that have to be taken care of. Up at the top, we have the NBEMS file interface, enable. All right, that's the thing. Now I'm going to go through the enabled ones and we'll talk about the other ones a little later. Enabled. Down here on the underneath the other two boxes, it says open with Flmsg. That's critical. If you don't say open with Flmsg, you won't do anything with it. Okay. Here in this box, this is where the actual Flmsg for Windows users.exe program is located. It will be under, let me see if we can bring this up here. Okay, I cannot get to my Windows segment through here, but what we're looking for on this window, this is where the program is located. On Linux, it's /user local bin Flmsg. On Windows, it will be under program x86. Okay, program x86. And what you should see here is the actual .exe file for Windows. This is how it actually gets started. This tells FLDigi where it's located at. All right, there's no guessing or second guessing about with that, and that way you can actually get it started. If you don't have that, again, Flmsg will just ignore it, and as many people know, it just continues on its merry way and doesn't do anything. So those two parts of FLDigi, or that part of FLDigi, is something that's really important. If you don't do that, and let me stop the sharing for a second. I'm going to go try and find that. Stay awake, Bob. I'm going to this desktop here. Righty. I didn't get the desktop I wanted. All right. There we go. Again, let me get over here to the Windows section. Ignore the funny stuff, that's Linux. Don't let it worry you. If you go down here to Windows, excuse me, I'm sorry. Program files x86. If you scroll down here, you'll see the Flmsg directory. If you have installed an upgrade to Flmsg and not uninstalled your old Flmsg, you might have several Flmsg files sticking around here. You want to make sure you use the current one that you have installed, all right, because it will get overlaid. It doesn't hurt when you upgrade the your Flmsg software from W1HKJ to get rid of the old software by just using the Windows programs section under this settings, and just, you know, if it's Flmsg.4.0.13, uninstall it. It will not get rid of your files or any of your data. It'll just get rid of the software folders on the directory. So this is what you'll be seeing and looking for under programs. All right. And we share again. All right. That's it pretty much for FLDigi. All right. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. So let's go over to Flmsg. You know, there was one other thing I wanted to show you. Let me go back. Excuse me, sorry. Configure. Under IDs, IDs your RSID. This is the little trickery software that changes the mode whenever it hears a mode change coming through over the air. So if you're using Thor 22 and then somebody wants to use MFSK 32, RSID turned on, it will automatically pick up the TXID signal and change it through the RSID. One thing I wanted to point out here is in RSID, especially if you're working through a repeater, people tell me there's a problem all the time with this. 9 times out of 10, you need to just change one value, the pre-tone signal. The pre-tone signal is what is sent out before the actual RSID tone. That lets your repeater come up, stabilize, and then pass the tone correctly. Okay, that's the whole idea by it, the pre-tone signal. Experimentation, when you're using a more modern repeater that comes up fast and has no problems, you could probably put this down at 1 second. If you're using SSB over HF, you probably can set it for 0. It doesn't make any difference because there's no setup time that's required. Up here, we've found between 1.5 and 2 seconds to be just about optimal for our repeaters, so 1.8 seconds. That makes sure your RSID works every time. Okay, that's the end of the tidbits here. Now, let me get Flmsg back up. Let's go across the top here on Flmsg on the menu bar. Under File, I tell people, you know, look under your messages to find the file for the that you just received. When people go over to the Explorer, File Explorer, they're hunting and pecking, they can't find anything. However, Dave, W1HKJ, and his infinite wisdom put this one little option called Folders up here. If you click on Folders, it will start up and it will drop you right in the .nbeams directory, okay, because that's what Flmsg uses. So here you are. You're right in the right spot. There's your Flamp. ICS is for everything that comes in under Flmsg. All right. This is your message folder. This is where everything gets stored at coming in from Flmsg. When you save it, okay, templates, these are not really used anymore, but this is a very important thing. If somebody says, where's the message file? Like, for example, in our American Red Cross drill, we had people grabbing the .k2s file to attach to the WinLink messages. This is a fast way to find it if you have Flmsg open, folders, ICS, messages, and pick your file. Okay, there's ARC files. So you can just grab this and drag it and drop it right into the Flmsg or the WinLink files to send it. Very easy to do. New, open a new message file. I'll get to some very important detail about this in a little while. Open an old message. If you click that, it takes you right to the old messages. You can just pick whatever one you want. Here's one from N3RN. There you go. It's all ready. Okay. Save and save as. These are two very important things that I've mentioned before, and I mentioned it again in the EAWB over the weekend. When you save a file, it maintains all the path information of the file that came to you. So this message here, okay, was sent to me via N3SRO, who picked it up from N3RN. The important point about this is that we needed to be able to see who sent it, where it was sent from, what time did it arrive at each station, and that's all inside Flmsg. So if I go down here to Flmsg, I find my N3RN folder here. If I click on this, it'll open it up in a text file. Yeah, I hope everybody can see that. Over here, if you notice, this is me opening it up tonight. All right. That's me opening it up tonight. This is N3SRO relaying it, and that was N3SRO creating it, N3RN creating it up here. All the texting information of where it goes, all right, how it got there. Under head, the editor, which means this is the editor who created it, okay. Why are you coming up? Under the editor here, it has N3RN. This is the date and time when he actually created the file. Okay, so this is important information that you don't want to lose. Now, if you take that same file, oh, we got a guy, here we go. We just added one more, N9NMR. And, this is Carl from Michigan. Why he wants to be here, I don't know. He knows everything anyway. So Carl has been admitted. So this information is critical, all right? Especially if you have to track a message coming back or going, wherever it's been. That's what you want to do. If, And since this is an over with exercise, this is the same message. If I do a file save as, all right, it's gonna give it a different file name for a good reason. The reason it's given a file name is this is now my file, WN3LIF-84. So I hit save. I'm going to go back over here to my file, and I can go down to the bottom. There's WN3LIF-84. We'll open that up on a regular editor. If you notice now, all that information is gone. All that information is gone. It says I now wrote that message. So I have just usurped the message. And again, everything that I needed to prove where the message came from is gone. So this is something you need to be careful with and understand that when you're working with Flmsg, you can wipe things out really quickly. Okay. All right, let's go back over to Flmsg again. So new will create a whole new message, making it just like that. Open will open a current message. Save saves the message without disturbing anything. The only thing it'll add when you save a message is the fact that you opened it. Okay, you become part of the data chain. Save as makes the message yours. Now this is the cool thing. We can do this with a view form. Click that. And this is a custom form. And it'll wake up eventually, believe me. I promise. Okay, there's a custom form. Basically, what it essentially what it has done is it's taken everything inside the FL message, populated the fields where they belong, and displayed it as a form. So that's a custom form. But you can actually take any message and I'm looking for one that is not a K2S file here. Of course, I can't find them. So we'll go up here. And again, all K2S files. We'll take something out of the training. There's a 213 file. That term 13 file, as it came in, if you do a file, view, HTML delivery, it'll put it into your editor. There you go. So you see it exactly like this in your editor. Take note, this is how you print an FL message file. There is no print available in FLDigi, FLMessage, or FLAMP. If you want to print a message, you open it as HTML delivery and then print it on your printer. All right, that's how you do it. There is no actual print in there, but there's a 213 message. Okay, so that's another message. Q forms, I have no idea what they are. Sorry. There were something that was important way back in 2009, 2010. They've gone away. I have no idea where they went, why they went, or who even uses them, but they're out there for some reason. Someday I'll ask Dave about it and he'll probably give me an answer. So wrap, again, I did mention this in the EAWB. In the folders under NBeams, there is a directory called wrap right here. Wrap is where FLDigi stores an incoming message. When it gets the message complete, it has a file name for it. It will start FLMessage and pass the file to it. FLMessage will in turn pull the file up in whatever form it's supposed to be. Okay, it has all the information in the wrap file. If you look inside the wrap file, it looks exactly like what you see coming across your screen in the receive pane of FLDigi. So if I open this, do a wrap import, and just grab one of these files, there you go. It just imported it back in. This is from John, AB3ZI. It's a weather report. And he said, this is a drill, thank goodness. So again, it's a storage area. it can grow very large, so it's something you actually want to maintain and you keep an eye on. If you export, you can actually export a form. It'll go into the send folder. Excuse me. So I'm going to save it. If I go into folders, oops. All right, stop doing that to me, machine. Okay, if I go to folders, over here, I go down to wrap, I go down to send, I have a folder named wrap again. And if you notice, it looks exactly like what it's supposed to look like when you send it through FLAMP. So if you had FLAMP running, or excuse me, FLMessage running, you clicked auto start, this is what it would send. You would see it going out over the screen, okay? And that's what FLMessage does to FLDigi. It says, here's the file, send that. When FLMessage is done, he deletes the file. Now you can also take this, copy it, go to FLDigi, and you can paste it right in. Same thing. Now when I hit send, it'll send it and it'll look just like an FLMessage file coming across the air. People on the other side with their programs set to automatically open an FLMessage file, pick it up, there it is. Thank you very much. I have an FLMessage file. All done. So there is no magic about how FLMessage works. It's just storing files and then telling FLDigi what file to pick up and send. So there's an odd thing you can do with this. If you have, let's say you have 10 messages. If you have 10 messages to send, you can actually export them one at a time into the send folder, combine them into one big file, and then you have two options. You can edit the file and just put between each message a stop transmitter, start transmitter, macro command, okay? Once you do that, when the message ends, it'll stop the transmitter drops, comes back up again, so the repeater resets, and you can keep sending. The nice thing about that is you can actually use speeds that FLMessage does not use. For example, down here, all these files, okay, you can actually pick one that is not usable, okay, from other files if you have some special reason for doing that. FLDigi doesn't care at that point because FLMessage isn't telling it what to do. So you can actually send it. The other thing you can do is combine them all in one big file and then grab FLAMP and send them that way. Works just the same way. All right. And you get them done faster. Hello? Somebody have a question? Guess not. Okay. So there you go. That's the import and export. Forms. These are the things that we use most often. Before the HTML custom forms came in, Dave's development team spent an awful lot of time developing forms. Okay, in other words, they had a whole bunch of coders. All they were doing is creating forms. For example, the radiogram form. The actual coding behind this was complicated and rather difficult. It was not something that anybody wanted to do, but you know, forms were something that's very important. They're important to FLDigi, and they're important to WinLink, they're important to DRATs, they're important to everything. Okay, so by using this, they used to do it all manually. Same thing. If you have any kind of a form that's built in, you now can create custom HTML, and it's not all that hard. It's very, very easy to do. You know, people that kind of make that mysteriously thing saying, oh, it's, you know, very distinct, hard to figure out, but it's something that's very easy to do. Okay. So we have forms. Mars used to use this quite heavily. They don't anymore. They have their own tools and operations pretty much. So they do like it. Incident command system forms. ICS 213 is built in. Okay. Form. This is the hospital ICS H213. Pretty much the same, but it's been added and modified by Hospital Association of America. I think it's HCACA or HACA, something like that. They create their own forms. We have ham forms, netlog. You can send a netlog. You can export it and upload it into netlogger if you want to. All kinds of different forms. The Red Cross forms, any of you who participated in the ARC or ARES, ARC exercise on May 30th, this is where you got your Red Cross forms. There was a little problem with the 6409 form. I'm not going to bother going into that. It takes a long time to figure it out, but what the heck. The other thing you can do with forms under custom, this is all of our custom forms. These are the forms that we use for the SSES drill here in Luzerne County. All the initial notification forms that are used are built in as custom forms. It's pretty much, we took all the forms and somebody sat down and filled them all in so that we can do what we need to do. Of course, we cheated a little. We defaulted to this is an exercise. We defaulted to the counties that are going to be needed, simulation. So this makes our job easier in the amateur radio room. If we ever get back into the amateur radio, who knows? But these are just custom forms. They're all made out of standard HTML. There's nothing fancy about them. Templates, again, they've kind of gone by the wayside. We used to say, you know, Dave, I need a special template for the SSES drill, and Dave and his crew would put this together for us. And it was not what I would call an easy thing. So that was a bit of a problem. All right, now config. Pay attention, guys. Personal data. If you don't put the personal data in, Flmsg will keep reminding you about it. And the reason it wants personal data, it needs the call sign. Absolutely. Okay, it's got to have a call sign. All the other stuff is pretty much optional, but every now and then it will, for example, if you put a weather report together, it will try to grab that information from your profile to put into the weather report for you. So work as you can to get as much as in. I know a lot of people don't want to put their stuff in there, but you know, if it doesn't, as I tell people, if you don't want to put your telephone number in, just to satisfy the program, use 888-555-1212. That's an old test number. I don't even know if it works anymore, but it's an old test number. It goes nowhere except a certain tone that'll get generated to a test set for a telephone repairman. But it does, it lets you put a number in and keeps the program happy. Daytime, you can set it for whatever the standard is for your county. Ours is month, day, and year, and we use hours and minutes local time, okay? Civil Air Patrol has a special time. I don't know what it is. I've never played with it, but you can set this up in any way you want to. The one thing I warn you about is if you set this up and then you tell it to save the files using a date and time, you can end up with some very, very large file names. So consider your choices. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you use colons in the file names, it may play havoc on iOS or Linux because that doesn't like colons in the file names. Files, wrap, open the folder when exporting, so that this is just telling the Flmsg to open the wrap folder for you. This is how you name your files when it's saved. I'm using a call sign and a serial number. If you notice when I saved it before, I had WN3LIF-84. It incremented the number, okay, and gave me a file for it. Date time I don't use, all right? I just use a sequential rolling number. If you were a Mars program, you could actually submit a Mars roster using this. Word wrap, what that does is it sets a word wrap at 80 characters. Now, 80 characters across the Flmsg form probably will truncate earlier than what you wanted to. But if you're using the HTML view form, the view form will actually go to 80 characters and then wrap around for you. File transfers. With forms, I can actually tell Flmsg to transfer a file for me. It will do it in compressed mode, and we'll talk about that when we get down to the bottom here a little bit more. But file transfers, if you click this and say do not transfer, it'll transfer it in basic ASCII format, which may work, may not work, depending on what's inside the file. Compress is usually a preferred option when you're doing something like that. This is your radiogram settings. This is a radiogram number, auto increment it, ARL descriptions. Let me get here. In radiograms, if you have the precedence, it'll show you the precedence. Okay. Your handling instructions, for those of you who understand what radiogram handling instructions are, report date and time of delivery back to the originating station, which is the standard HXC form that many of them have. And we have what they call the ARL message numbers. And these are just abbreviations that get stuck inside a message. For example, if you want to send birthday greetings to this, you would say add that. And so now it has ARL 46 in the text. The receiving operator would translate that into greetings on your birthday. If you'd view it under, oops, let me get up here. If you view it under HTML delivery, which makes it easier for the guy delivering it, you see at the bottom of the page here, you'll only get it translated for you, for those who are challenged. And if you're an NTS person, you're supposed to memorize all of them. Just kidding. So that's what those are. If you want the Radio Relay International banner on your radiograms, and I'm sorry I closed that because it would have had the RRI up there, you can put that on. If you're an ARL diehard, you can take that out and it'll show the ARRL radiogram, just to make everybody happy. ARC, all right. This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. We're going to kind of hit this a little hard. And the reason I want to do this is because this has been batted around for many years. Dave Kleber, KB3FXI, who was the guy who kind of pushed W3H or W1HKJ into writing these programs. Originally, FLDigi had nothing like this. It was meant to be a contest program. And Dave Kleber, KB3FXI out in Pittsburgh, kind of said, hey, I need you to do this. And Dave went to bat, and it's turned out to be a very popular thing all across the United States. It's very, very large. In fact, 98,000 downloads of FLDigi, Flmsg, and Flamp. This is going back 5 years ago. 35,000 of them were outside the United States and to places like the French Emergency Management Agency. So it's very popular. Okay, well, let's go down from top to bottom here. Flmsg XLM RPC, Remote Procedure Call Address. This is the local host. Do not ever change this. The port, 7362. This is a registered port for FLDigi, and changing this means you have to go in and change FLDigi. So again, don't do that. Not a good idea. This is what Flmsg uses to talk to FLDigi. Okay, if you change this, FLDigi is broke. It won't work. Okay. It'll try 5 times to connect to Flmsg for Flmsg to correct FLDigi. It sends 128 blocks of data at one time. All right. Notifier timeout. Again, these are all set to default at 0. Okay. Notify receives unchecked. Now let's go down here. If you notice on the FLDigi page, there's auto send up here, and there's an ARC send down here. ARC send is different than what we normally use. ARC send actually essentially turns Flmsg and FLDigi into an old 1200 baud TNC. Send a block, wait for an ACK. Send a block, wait for an ACK. If you don't have things set up right, it's going to die. All right, it's not good, not a great idea. I don't recommend it. There's some people that like to use it. If they want to use it, that's fine, but not here. So on here, I just say enable if you go into ARES, you want to enable ID, ARES ID. They just say what this first 3 items are doing. Okay, these first 3 items are doing are just telling Flmsg how to handle any signal that has a TXID showing up in it while you're sending an ARC. Again, I don't recommend using it. I won't do it. Okay, open browser. The open browser basically opens your file manager for you to see what's going on with an ARC send. Don't bother. Again, it's a lot of wasted retail space on your screen. You really don't want to, waste that valuable retail space on your screen. Use it for something important. Sync modem to FLDigi. Now, there's some confusion with this. Let's give you a hypothesis. You have a program, FLDigi. You're in a net. Okay, wherever the net's at. Could be in VHF, UHF, high frequency, whatever. You are pretty much working with the other net members. Everybody using one specific mode to talk, like Thor 22 or what have you, Olivia 8500. If you say sync mode to FLDigi, this will always set this area down here to whatever FLDigi has. Okay. So if FLDigi is running Thor, that's going to show Thor. If FLDigi is running Olivia 8500, that's going to show Olivia 8500. Not a good idea. Why? Because most nets will switch mode to do their message transfers. They won't stay on a slow typing mode like Thor 22, Olivia 8. They'll go to MFSK 32. Around here, we go to 8PSK 1000F as our go-to mode, or PSK 125 RC5. So I don't want my FL message changing into whatever FLDigi is running, because when I send my message, it's going to tell FLDigi what it wants to send at. So I leave that unchecked, and I check the lower one, change modem with auto send. And the reason for that is when I send the message, okay, it will tell FLDigi, switch your mode to what I have, not the other way around. So if we have FLDigi running here, and I should still have it someplace. Let me see if I have it. No, I guess I don't. Okay, I'm going to start FLDigi. Just so you can see the effect. Okay, if you notice here, FLDigi is now sitting on Thor. All right. I'm going to bring up this. It has change modem with auto send. Okay, I'll come back to what the user interface is later. So I've got this sent. This is just a test. It's not going out over the air, guys. I've got the radio turned off. So this is sent to MT63 2KL. If you watch down here in the lower corner, you'll see when I hit the button, auto send. Yeah, it wants me to save it. There we go. If you notice, it changed the mode to MT63 2KL automatically. And there goes my FLDigi out over the air. So what we're doing here is we're letting Flmsg tell FLDigi exactly what it wants to send. Why is this an advantage to you as an operator? You can queue up all your messages and have them set with the proper speed, the proper mode, the proper heading, everything done. They're saved. You don't have to worry about anything. You're all ready to rock and roll. If Flmsg is changing your forms or changing it, you don't know what you're going to have when you get up. You have to look again and everything else. Not a good idea. Okay. What you don't want to do is have that happen. So what I tell people to do is set the configuration so that you tell FLDigi to change the modem with auto send. Simple like that. That's all there is to it. User interface. Okay, user interface equals expert. And what does this refer to? Everybody who installs Flmsg for the first time will get this kind of an interface. Come on, get out of the way. I'm going to close that. You get that. That's your interface, that little tiny thing up here in the corner. That's it, right there. What was this meant for? This was meant for a subject matter expert to be able to go click, pick up a message, have Flmsg open it up so that they can fill it in like this. That's all there is for it. Submit the form, save the form, and then come back here. No operator was harmed in the proceeding operation of filling in the form. Problem is that's not what we need as Flmsg operators. So if you see this, you can just go to Tools, Expert Dialog, and restart Flmsg. Yep. And that should come back, I hope. All right. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, if it brings it up here, you can go to Config, User Interface, click that, and you're done. But that's what happens. It gives you that very tiny little interface that will cause you problems and grief and aggravation later on. So there we go, we're all back. So that's the configuration for all of the operation. Very easy to use. Utilities, received messages. This little guy here refers back into the FLDigi where it says transfer file to executing Flmsg program. This is very nice. However, what happens often is this little guy ends up like that. You can't find him. This is why I don't recommend people use it, because they'll send a message and say, I never got it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Well, you go over here and you'll see it listed. You have to click on view. So again, I do not recommend that being used. Events, this is just in case anything went bad, you'll get a notification up here so you can email Dave and say, this went wrong. All right. This little blue area is a drag and drop area. Hey, I'm missing my, there it is. This is a text editor. And I'm going to save this on my desktop so I can find it. Okay. Essentially what the drag and drop area is, should be able to drag it and drop it right there. Of course, it's never going to work the way I want it to. I can copy. There you go. What you have to do is grab the whole thing and copy it over to it. No. But that's what that blue area is from. Dave is very proud of that. I have no idea why. But to me, it doesn't work all that well. File name, help is pretty much up to date. You can do whatever you want to do. Download custom forms. He has Flmsg custom forms stored on SourceForge, and there's a lot of them that you can grab if you need them. Okay, let's go down the bottom where the rubber meets the road. Comp, this stands for compression. Flmsg, okay, will compress things for you. There's no option. It's either compressed or it's not compressed. NY3J and I've emailed and discussed this to ad infinitum. Dave finally gave us the secret. What that is, when you compress a file, It may not speed it up. I don't know how many out there may have been thinking, oh, I'll compress the file, it will take less time. So if I compress that, if you notice, that simple statement went from being 26 seconds here, by compressing it went to 29 seconds. All right. Not good. Okay, that actually makes the text longer. But there are some instances when, believe it or not, compression actually works better than just leaving it uncompressed, even if it takes longer. Let me give you a hint. See that line? That's a line of underscores. That's a line of dashes. When you send these things via Flmsg, believe it or not, Flmsg gets confused and gives you checksum errors. Now, if you compress it, okay, if you notice now uncompressed 39 seconds, compressed 34 seconds. The other thing it does is it compresses all these multiple characters down into one little, actually 2 byte content and sends them that way, which makes it a lot faster, a lot easier. It also doesn't screw up your checksums. So again, if you have somebody who likes to do this long line like I do, I'm the guy that found this out. If you have a long line like this of repeating characters, send it compressed. Save yourself the time and aggravation. Or take them out, whatever. Just, you know, sometimes you can't edit the message. So that's the compression. It's a good thing. It's not a hard thing, but it does tend to be confusing. I'm just trying to get this. I can't get to the dashboard, but I want to. All right. Okay, here, speeds. Again, simple drop-down menu. Your speeds will be set by the people who are running your net. PSK 125 RC5. If you look at FLDigi, the way that FLDigi actually lists speeds or op modes, it doesn't actually say the same thing as what you see over there. So PSK 125 RC5 is 5x PSK 125R. Don't get confused by it. It's a little confusing. And if you drop it down here, you can actually see all the crazy variations of it. But it's PSK 125 RC5. So there's the hint there. The little asterisk, basically what that does is it tells Flmsg to recompute the time. Okay, it is a just a feature. If you make changes, usually FLDigi will automatically do it, but you may have to force it. 22 seconds versus 22 seconds. And again, with all these characters in it, the reason this, by the way, does work like that is called Unicode. And more common characters do have only shorter variations or shorter representations inside the Unicode. The longer characters, like these oddball characters, have longer values because they're farther up on the frequency chain. So when you put these in, compression does help you a bit. So that's the whole thing. You can actually take anything you want in text, put it in a blank message, and send it with FLDigi. It works very well. Remember, you use auto send, not the send down here. ARC is automatic request for a retry. And if you use this, first of all, you got to connect to somebody. Okay. Once you connect to them, and then it starts this back and forth two-way handshaking. Leave the handshaking to Vera or RDOP. They do it much better. This does not work all that well. If you do set that, you're going to have to come over to FLDigi, and you're going to have to set these areas, this part of it down here, the SQL, and make sure that you have the AFC set properly, and then adjust your SQL level, because FLDigi will not transmit even if it hears noise, okay, let alone signals. So be careful with using that. We've had a lot of people who are starting in our nets go to the send button because it looks so obvious, and then they send button and we sit there waiting for them, nothing happens. So Anyway, that's pretty much it for FL message. Let me stop sharing here for a second. And I come right back to looking at N3RN. Okay. If you want a question, unmute and state your question about FL message before we go over to FLAMP. Hello? No questions? Unmute. If you look over in the lower left-hand can, should be a little microphone with mute next to it. You can just touch it or tap on it. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, WT, I know this will be hard to believe, but last week on vacation, I looked through the documentation on FL message.
Why would you do that on vacation?
Well, on vacation, that's when you have time to do stuff like that, when you're sitting there doing nothing else.
Okay.
And I may be wrong, as I frequently am, but with the compress, the way I understood the documentation was that if you check the block for compress and it actually would take longer, the program would say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go without the compression, even though you have that box checked. Did I misunderstand that?
No, that is, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a K5 that helped Dave come up with that when they put the compression in there. And it would actually analyze your program and say, no, you can't send it that way because it will take longer. And the code is still actually in there. Doesn't seem to work right, but it is in there. I think it has to be over 10 seconds or something like that difference. When it hits that difference point, then that kicks in and says you don't want to do that. If you go into FLAMP also, Bob, I know you didn't read that documentation, but if you bring in a file that requires compression, like an HTML file that has coding in it and characters, it will tell you you got to use compression, won't let you get away with it. So these are the things, but you were absolutely right on that documentation point. And it's in there, but I have never had it stop me from using compression. I've had it suggest that I use compression, but I've never had it stop me from using compression. So,
well, how would you know?
It'll has a window pops up right in the middle of
Oh,
the
okay.
screen. Yeah, it has
Okay.
a pop-up window, comes right up and says, "Don't use it." And the one that it showed me, if I remember, it says you are. I think it said it came up and says you are creating an overly long message by using compression, or excessively long message. And I didn't think it would be excessively long, but what was in it was actually snippets of C code that we were practicing sending. And it had a lot of escape characters and everything else, like the tilde, the caret characters and stuff like that, which were very odd. And when I hit compress, the message went from being 2 minutes and 14 seconds to over 3 minutes. So, that's the only thing. So that was one of the things that NY3J and I were questioning. W1HKJ, he did send us a very long obtuse instrument, but he said basically it's based on Unicode and the number of characters. For example, the letter E, compressing the letter E doesn't make any difference. It's only 2 or 3 or 2 bytes, I think. If you compress Z, it's a little different, takes about 5 bytes. If you put a slash in there or a colon, that takes about 16 bytes, but it does compress very well. So that's the reason. Okay.
Okay, yeah, just, the way it was explained, it just said it won't let you do it. It didn't say anything about a pop-up window. I just thought, okay,
Yeah.
you have to actually watch and see the time and see if it took that long, but.
Yeah, it will. If it does compress, when you hit the compress button, as soon as it starts to send, you will see B64 colon at the head, right under the headers of the message, that tell you it's gone into compression.
Okay.
And here's another thing, folks, if you want to listen, if you are sending an FL message, it's been queued. Okay, it's going to be in there. It's like Bob is saying, once it starts to send, you will see it. If it's wrong and you want to stop it, there's, let's put it this way, we've spent a lot of time watching messages numerously go over and over again up here. The TR switch is what you want to click on FL, excuse me, on FL Digi to shut it down. Let me do a real quick share Sorry, I'm boring you people. You go back over here. Okay. See the TR right under the screen here in the corner? If you hit TR, it dumps the transmit automatically and flushes the buffers. So what happens is this way everything gets out. If you kill the FL message program, if you kill the FL Digi program, bring it back up, it's going to look in its file and say, oh, I still have to send this, and it's going to try and send it again. So this is basically the fastest and easiest way. You can hit TR, okay? The other thing you can do, let me just type some text here. Okay, make sure I'm up here. So if I say Control T, go down here and I do a Control R, and I say, oh, I don't want to send that. If you notice what happens, I hit the escape key. If you hit it 2 times, it stops it. But you also get a little message on the bottom that says, don't panic. I'm getting there. It grabs your name from the profile and says, don't panic. You know, don't panic, WT. I'm going to get there. So it will change it. We'll shut it down. So 2 fast ways to stop transmitting when you don't want to. Remember the TR right over here above the AFC and SQL, and escape. If you hit escape, you get that little message. So, okay. Any other questions, folks? Carl, are you sleeping? I'd like to make sure he's up. Mark.
No, it's still early. It's only 9 o'clock here in Milwaukee, so it's nice. It's nice seeing everyone tonight.
Nice to see you, Carl. And thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, my friend, very much.
Oh, hey, I'm picking up stuff here. It's I'm glad I joined you guys.
Okay. All right. Any other questions before we leap into FLAMP? I'm listening. I don't hear nothing. Okay. All right. Back to sharing. Sorry, guys. Technical. Hey. Yep. Who's that?
Hello.
Yeah.
Bill.
Yeah, Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I didn't understand about printing a message. You said there is no print.
Right. There is no print command inside FL Digi, FL Message, or FLAMP. There's no way to print, okay? So the way you actually print an FL message when it shows up, all right, is on FL Message, you go to the File menu, and then it says HTML, and you want to do the delivery copy, okay? And the delivery copy will come up in your browser. And in your browser, you can actually print. Let me share the screen, Bill, and I'll show you what I'm looking at. All right. All right. You see, so you can see this, Bill. I'm going to hit View HTML Delivery. See so far? Click on that. Now you see what it did is it put it in my browser, just like a web page.
Okay.
All right. So now
I see it.
I can go up here, File, Print. I think that's the right one. If it ain't, it won't print. There we go. So it's just sent it to my printer. Excuse me. Okay. And my printer is actually moving. How about that? So that's how you actually, I'm surprised because it's been giving me fits. I tried to print a couple of pictures for my wife of my nephews, and I wasted about 19 pages worth of stuff. There you go. That's how it prints. Got it? Got it, Bill? All right. Stop sharing. Here it is. That's what it looks like. I got it in the right spot. There it is. See, it prints. That's how you actually get it to print. And that's, you know, I've asked Dave about that several times. His comment was, do you realize how hard it is to configure printers on all the various operating systems? Linux, being a Unix-based system, has CUPS, LPR, HP-LIP, and several other printing things. Apple Print and a few other things. You never know what you're talking to or how you're talking to it, and calling the basic print commands is confusing. Windows is not too bad because it has the standard printing interface. But again, what are you printing to? Are you printing to an Epson, old Epson printer, or are you printing to an HP LaserJet, an OfficeJet, DeskJet, Oki Data, what have you? And you got to make sure that everything is right, because some people will send a message and it just doesn't look good. So sending it to the browser, actually, you could actually save what's in the browser and edit it under an HTML editor if you have to make it look better. So it does things. Now in custom forms, when we build custom forms, and thanks to KC3FKW for his hard work with me, getting a page break to occur in the right place at the right time, right, Rich, was like pulling teeth. So, yep, Rich is nodding his head in case anybody cares. So printing is not just a, here you go, thing. On the Apple iOS, people have worked very hard. We've just found that the browser takes care of it. Let the browser handle the printing, and that's why we go it that way. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Bill, right? Okay. All right, then. Should we go on, I guess, with our talk here? Because we're way over time, but I'll try not to be so long-winded on this one. But let me go back over to my nice little system here. And we'll bring up Flmsg. Now, Flmsg will not start without FLAMP running, okay? It's very finicky. Okay, here's my little buddy. I'm probably more familiar with FLAMP than I am with any other part of FLDigi and FL Suite. The reason is this is how every Sunday night I send the bulletin. Okay, this is where it goes from. And I'm very lazy. I'm not going to admit that I'm very ingenious or anything else. I am just very lazy. So I have written scripts. Now I'm going to tell you right now, if you think this looks like a program, you're nuts. So I've written a script which actually puts all this in here for me. I don't have to do anything. Wrong. This is the weekly bulletin, just like you're used to seeing it. And I'm going to go through everything. The reason I brought this up is there's pieces of FLAMP that you won't see anything in unless there's something special going on. Let's go over here to the file, and guess what's at the top? Folders. Aha. There you go. Takes you right into the FLAMP directory. Okay. These are all folders. These are the scripts. This is where your receive information goes. So when you receive a file via FLAMP and you say save it, okay, it's going to go in the nbeams or nbeams.files on your Windows systems, FLAMP RX. That's where it's going to go. You can actually just hit the button. It will save it. You're all done. Here's all the old FLDigi bulletins and stuff like that. So there is the same thing you saw on Flmsg, folders. The script is what I just used to execute the script. I'll show you the script later, but you're not going to like it. I can tell you that. Debug log, that just tells you what's going on. Okay, it just, if you have a problem, be sure to save this. This is how Dave finds out what to do, how to fix things. Under help also, command line parameters. Remember, the online help here is very good. I really think Dave did a good job. Command line parameters, you probably will never ever need these, but if you notice, I was mentioning about printers. If you notice, Windows, Linux, OS X, it can get to be a very big pain in the neck. All right, we usually don't start FLAMP using command line parameters, but you can, and it is a very efficient way of doing it. All right, that's the basic command. It's very simple. Okay, let's go to the receive pane. This is your file name. It's right at the top. Very easy. Date and time. Not the date and time you made it. It's the date and time in the file you're sending. Okay, so if you go over to transmit, all right, you find date and time, descriptions, etc. So the date and time as it comes in will show up here. What is the description? It's what is transmitted. There's the description. Okay. Call info. You can put anything you want in the call info. Okay. Basically, my call comes out of my personal data. Call info under config. I'll get to that later, so don't, just calm down. So that's where that comes from. The number of bytes, number of blocks, okay, block size. All right, I'll get to that later. Missing blocks, etc. The blocks are the number of blocks that actually get sent. Now, let's, this is where your data will show up. You actually see what you're sending. Relay. All right, let's go through the buttons. Save. Hit the save button. If there was something to save here, it would actually show up a file like the Explorer under the RX pane for FLAMP. So you can just save the file. Remove. It says you are about to remove the weekly bulletin. If you say remove something from the queue, it's going to stop and warn you. The reason is if you take this out, it may, may foul up what you're trying to receive. So if there's something going out of the computer, you get a second chance to say no. So we're going to say no here. All right. And if you notice, this was selecting this from the transmit pane, not the receive pane. So to the TXQ, if you receive a file via FLAMP and you want to send it as your own, you can hit the to TXQ. What that will do is open the save file. It'll let you save the file that you received, and then it'll turn it over here to the transmit queue so you can send it again. Okay. Missing blocks, our favorite. I can tell missing blocks to actually, save everything, do whatever you want to do. But all these little blocks come up here and say, you didn't get these. These are the blocks that were being sent and you're missing these guys. All right. This is a graphic description of it. This is actually a numeric description of it. Your data, relay, fetch. Fetch has we're on the air, I could show you these. Relay has a very neat function. We use this, practice this with the District 3 and Digital Net. Message comes in to me. Okay, WA2EXI sends it. WA2BBS and WN3LIF. I get it, Doug doesn't. Okay. He's not actually, well, through a repeater he would, but it seems like he's not actually hearing WA2AXI, which is very unusual because they live close together. In fact, neighbors. And so what Chris says, Walt, you send him my file. By hitting relay right here, it will come up and I can forward the file directly from my computer to him without ever saving it, storing it, or doing whatever. Fetch, okay, fetching basically retrieves any missed blocks, and we'll show you the report command very easily sent. Okay, let me bring up FLDigi file. FLDigi also has this nice little facility called audio capture. I can click on that, and when I send stuff, it will save the audio. So it is now saving the audio. Let me go back over here. When I transmit, okay, this is the bulletin. I'm going to juice it up and send it faster. I would pick this week to do this when I have the most largest, humongous bulletin I've had in weeks. Okay, it's going to take about 2 minutes, but I'll talk while we're sending. So I'm going to hit the transmit button. So it is now, excuse me. Should have went into transmit. It says it's transmitting. Cancel. Yes. All right. I think I lost my connection with FLDigi. Let me stop that. Bring this back up again. All right. I'm going to change this. 8PSK 1200 is about the fastest we go successfully. I think it's the fastest one out there. If you notice, we have compression sent here. This file is 109K on disk. With compression, it's only 47K. So it's rather rapid. So let me see if we can go into transmit now. Yep, it's not going into transmit. I must be going crazy. All right, we'll do the whole thing over again. You know, what's interesting is my signal link was going on, which is very unusual.
Undocumented evaluated feature.
Nah. It's a feature that's it's documented someplace. I just don't know where it's documented at. That's all. So I'm going to say
what you're always telling us to do.
reboot,
Okay.
reboot. All right. Now we should be in detail. Oh, you know what? It's in event mode. All righty. Transmit, script, execute, timed. All right. Events. Stop the events. Transmit. It was waiting for 9 o'clock tomorrow night to start transmitting. That's what the problem was, I hope. So, and down here, by 12 PK. Huh. This is weird. It's actually showing it's sending. But it's showing it's sending way the heck over here. This must be something that's causing it with my sound card. It's also saying it's PSK 125 RC5. Weird, folks. Thank you very much, FLDigi. Make my life.
WT,
Yeah.
if you have that set as an event and you try and transmit and it's specifying a specific time, isn't it always going to do that?
If I hit stop events, it should do stop it. Okay.
Yeah, but you're restarting it with as if you're starting it fresh again.
No, what I'm doing is I've taken the start events out, so it should not go into, to not be any concern with the event configuration. So I'm not exactly sure why we're having this issue. You know, what's funny is my light is coming on. So let me just, that looks good. That's the anal side of me that has to make sure everything is actually correct, even though I'm just sending a test. So now that works fine. That works fine. Welcome to my world, folks. Transmit. It's keying up and transmitting, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Sorry, folks. Nothing works right. So we're going to do this one more time. And again, this is a shared, this is a shared screen off another computer, so I'm not exactly sure what the other guy is doing. All right. So that's working. Flamp. Transmit. Add the file manually. There's an old one. Okay, let's see if this one works. Now this is darn unusual. So, okay, folks, sorry about that. I have no idea why this is, if I would reboot, it'd probably work fine. But we're not going to bother with that tonight. Okay, anyway, receive. Fetch blocks. When somebody, you know what happens is I'm probably screwing up the whole computer because I'm touching on things that should not be touched unless there's something to send. Fetch blocks, if you do a relay and somebody on the other side says, hey, I didn't get it, all right, it didn't come back to me properly. So you can actually have them send a report over here. The report, okay, what that basically does is the report actually sends a specific set report to the transmitting station that contains the blocks in it that it needs to be resent. Okay, that's the whole idea behind this. The report actually looks like a string of characters basically that says, you know, and what actually it does, it says confirmed in it, which is confusing to a lot of people. The confirmed actually isn't confirmed. It just says I am missing these blocks.
And the beautiful thing is, it does not have to resend the whole file. It just resends the blocks that were missed. And
Yep.
we've tried that a couple of years ago, and it works really slick.
So anyway, in the nice interesting thing about the FLAMP, big files can go very quickly. Okay, there are problems with sometimes with it failing to getting there. For example, if you notice 8PSK 1200F takes 1 minute 14 seconds to send it. Very fast, block size 128. Problem is, at that speed, everything has to be tuned properly. If you are using 8PSK 1200F, your audio has to be right, your receive audio has to be right. Everything has to be working perfectly, okay? If it isn't, you're going to get missed blocks. The nice thing about being able to fetch the missed blocks, okay, is the fact that you don't have to send all of this over again. You can just send the pieces of it. And what's nice about it is you can break the speed down if you have to. For example, if WA2BBS is not getting all of the stuff he should be getting, all right, I can back it off and then just fill in the blocks that he needs. So. That's interesting. It's transmitting, but it's not showing up. Oh, well. All right. Okay, so again, that's the fetch operation. Transmit. On the transmit pane, QSD is a general call. That's a default area. The file name is whatever file you happen to load in. You can add multiple files to this. So I just added debug.log, text, what have you. So you can also do the drag and drop. That's the DND that's sitting over there, and drag and drop a file into it. And you know, I've never tried it, but sometimes it says it makes, sometimes it doesn't. I just try something. It's showing over on the other computer. It's been showing it through the share. Okay. All right, we'll just keep working. Description, you can put whatever description is you want into the operation. I'm going to reload that file so you can see that. So here, you just file description, EAWB number 88, June 24th. Block size, you can make the block size whatever you want. It'll go up to 1024 bytes. I don't advise you doing that. The reason is if you miss a piece of the block, you're sending a 1K block over and over again. Keep the block about 128, works very well, works very fast. And it does make it really efficient. The original default value was 64, which is much too small. We don't go with that. 128 works well. The transmit repeat, you can set this up to repeat the transmission automatically. I only send it once, but if you notice over here on the events, if I go over here to Hamcast, I'm actually using 4 different sessions to send it. So actually every Sunday night, I send the bulletin 4 different times. 2 with 8 PSK 1200F, 1 with HPSK 1000, which is our go-to value, and PSK 125 RC5. Excuse me. So that header repeat, the header is the most important thing. If you miss the header, okay, if you miss the header, all you get done is you get a line that says unassigned blocks. Excuse me. Getting a dry throat here. Unassigned blocks. It doesn't have anything. Now, if they press the repeat or the report button, they will send just a preamble request, because it doesn't know what it has. Doesn't know how many blocks it's supposed to have, doesn't know how many missed blocks it has, doesn't understand. It needs the preamble information basically to tell it exactly what's going on. All right, without that, it just doesn't work. Okay, that's the problem. So your header is extremely important. That's why I always send the header 3 times. The 3 times it goes out, there's a good chance of it getting through. So every time I send the transmission, I send the header 3 times. That way I'm sure that they have it. And even then, people sometimes miss it. This is the number of blocks in the file. It's going to send 302 of them. This is your compression. You can compress it in 3 different ways, 256, 128. We only use 64 because any of the others start using funky characters and they may not work. I try to stay away from that. This is your op mode, your type of mode you're going to use. Almost everything is supported. RTTY is not. Okay, just so you know, RTTY is not supported. Some people may try that. Again, the fastest speed that we have is 8 PSK 1200F, and we use that consistently through the repeaters up here. Okay, compression, take that out. It goes to the original file size. Leave it in. Now, transmit unproto plain text. If you have just a message that you want to send to broadcast, you can put it in and just send it as a text message. It will not compress it. It will just look like it's being sent out from the keyboard in FLDigi. This is very nice if you have a bulletin that you want to just fire off, let it go, what have you, and it will send it on its merry way. All right, that's the nice thing about this, is it does do that quite easily for you. So, all right. Blocks, this will actually show it to you. Maybe I'll be able to get something working that does actually look like that. Fetch, again, receive station sends report. When it comes back in, you'll see it over here in the FLDigi waterfall. All right. When you hit fetch, FLAMP scans the FLDigi's receive pane and picks up all the blocks. We've done this. We've had each station send their request for fills, hit the fetch, and it just grabs all the blocks, sorts them in order, and sends them all at one time. Very fast, very easy, very efficiently. Okay? It's nice to use. It works very well. This is pretty much self-explanatory. You hit press add, you want to add a file. Transmit sends 1 file at a time. If you have 10 files down here, you hit transmit all, and then all the files will go out there. Events, again, this is something probably most of you won't use, but it's used for sending up a specialized sequence of things to happen. FLAMP, the AMP stands for Amateur Multicast Protocol. Its whole purpose in life is you set this up, all right, you set this up, you set it on so that at a certain time it kicks off. Stations monitoring the simplex frequency will copy the bulletins and have them. When they have the bulletins, FLAMP will look at them when they come in the second time and say, I have that, and ignore it. So it won't have to worry again. However, if it's missing a block, it'll automatically fill in the block from the next transmission. So that's the whole purpose about it, all right, the way it actually works. Now, Hamcast, it's timing the modems so that when you put these up, it will actually set the modems up so that I know how long it's going to take. Generally, 3 minutes between transmission is all that it takes. I got a little windy Sunday, so I had to bump this guy up to 4 minutes to get over the hump. So just the way it goes. And then this one was 20 minutes long. I think Paul KA3E fell asleep on me. So configure. Again, this is the place where the rubber meets the road. Now remember over in Flmsg, I told you not to sync the modem to FLDigi or sync FLDigi to the modem. Same thing here with FLAMP, all right? The auto sync FLDigi and auto sync FLAMP, just leave them unchecked. This way you can work in FLAMP, do what you need to do without having anything interfere with you. It's not changing modes, it's not doing anything. Just leave them unchecked. What you want to do is change FLDigi mode prior to transmit. This allows FLAMP to send over the network, the internal network, the information it needs to transmit. Okay, it will come on, start transmitting, and change the mode immediately as soon as it does. So if I'm transmitting on Thor 22 on FLDigi, but I have this set up for 8PSK 1200, as soon as the transmit starts, it will change it to 8PSK 1200. All done, very easy, doesn't have any problems. Enable TX on report. Okay, when you're over here and you press the report button, as soon as you press the report button, it's going to come up and say you are about to transmit. Do you wish to continue? If you say yes, it will transmit your report over the air. That's what that's for. Warn users when removing files from the queue. Some people forget what they're doing and they're transmitting something and they go and say, I'm going to take that out so I can put the note in it. And when they do, they killed the transmit. So this is why that was put in. Clear missing blocks on non-canceled transmit. I know that sounds nuts, but what that basically says is this area in here, the blocks, if you make it to the end, all right, it will clear those blocks out and say, fine, everything's done. If you've taken a fetch, you really don't want that to happen. So if you cancel it, it will leave the blocks in there so you can resend them. Okay. Inhibit header modem on block fills. Remember I was mentioning the header are really important. In some conditions, you can send the header with a different modem speed than you can with the from the rest of the message. You may want to send it slower. If you notice down here, the enable header modem, that says BPSK 63. You're going to send the modem at a very slow speed, or the header at a very slow speed so that it gets through. Okay, very easy. Mark start and end of unproto data. That refers to this little area over here. It sends a special banner so that when your FLAMP grabs it, it will put the banner in the text so that you know this is the start of unproto data. Makes it very easy to do. Okay. Autosave subfolders in local time, otherwise UTC. If you receive a file, okay, if you receive a file and have this clicked, it will create a folder in the RX file. And I don't think I have anything in here that is like that. Let me see. N-beams. Nope, I don't have any folders. Okay. Autosave folders in local time, otherwise UTC. If I click that and put that in there, if I don't, well, as soon as it's received, it's going to create a subfolder in RX with the local time on it so that and store the file in it. So it makes it easier for people who are not checking things to catch it. Now, I told you about the enable header modem. If you want to use it, that's up to you. We don't use it. We don't have any need for it. enable TX/RX interval, transmit receive interval. This this is something that you need to know about, even if you're transmitting on HF. Okay. If I'm transmitting on HF, I usually set this for about 7 minutes so that it drops down, gives my transmitter 15 seconds or so to relax, comes back up and sends my ID again so that everybody knows what's going on. This is just being safe. Okay. If you're going through a repeater, repeaters have 3 minutes duration to actually, time out. We don't want to do that. So before this, we were set to a constant. We had 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes. So I had to set this at 2 minutes. Essentially, I was wasting a whole minute of transmit time because of the repeater. At 2.05, as this came out, Dave enabled what we call a granular method of doing this, so we can have it hundredths of a second. So we can actually get it up to 2 minutes, 48 seconds. Actually, we could get it up to 3 minutes exactly if we want, but unfortunately, most repeater timers are not set for exactly 3 minutes. They're set for a little earlier, so we don't want to do that. I have found for our repeaters, 2.8 works just fine. It transmits for 2.8 minutes. It will issue a break command, all right, 15, stop for 15 seconds, and then restart again. Now, let me get this file manager, FLDigi. Hang on, folks. Sunday. Okay, if you can see this, you're doing good. This is the output of the FLDigi program as it's going along. This area right through here is the headers. Okay, repeated 3 times. You know, it's prog, okay, prog, prog. All the information it needs. All right, any interested amateur radio station is put out over on the FLamp. Up here, any interested amateur radio station. By the way, that makes it equal to a bulletin, not a broadcast. So there you have it. That's what's going out. And if you notice here, this is where it actually starts the data. If you see the data coming across here, okay. Okay, actually it starts here. Takes it all the way across. That's 128 bytes. Over here, this B64:start, that tells the receiving station that it's starting compressed data. So that's how that looks, okay? Starting compressed data. Now it'll go like heck, and you're not going to see it here. I'll have to get down farther. But this is all the data going out, and it takes took it about 2 minutes, 30 seconds or so. Then it starts the second one again. Okay, there's the second one. Same thing over and over again. Why is it transmitted twice? If you missed a block on the first one, it's automatically being transmitted. So the second time through, it'll pick up the blocks. I don't have to do any resending. It's already done. And this has worked. 2014, I started doing this, so we have a lot of history. At the end, when it's actually the end of a transmission, okay, it will send that line. Okay, let me get it highlighted. You notice it says K. All right. Any interested amateur station, DEWN3LIF K. That's its indication to say he's done. Okay, he's finished. Now, we're still here. If you notice, we're in APSK 1000 F at this time. This is the third transmission through. This is all in your capture log. Now, see the difference here? He's hit a 3-minute timeout. He's been transmitting for over 3 minutes. Time to stop. He stops. He does not send a K, he sends BK. The BK indicates that it's a break. It's not an actual end of transmission. If you notice here, you see all the little garbage accumulating for 15 seconds. Okay, 15 seconds worth of noise. Then he starts right back up again where he picked off and starts sending the data again. So that's the difference between the continuous running and a break in the transmission. That's where that transmit interval is important. So he gets to the end now, he'll transmit the K at the end, and that's how you know he's done with that thing. Now, everybody around here knows that 8 PSK 1000, there's still another one to go. So he switches to PSK 125, again, 3 modem headers, and then he starts transmitting the data that he needs. And that'll go for 3 minutes, and there's your BK. If you notice the interval here on 3 minutes is a lot shorter than it is on the 8 PSK 1200F because it's transmitting a lot faster. So that's where that transmit interval comes in handy, okay? The transmit interval is what allows you to run through a repeater. Now, going back to when I started, I mentioned about the TXID or the RSID and the pre-tone signal, okay? Remember, the pre-tone signal takes time. The actual time that this will actually kick off is not granular. So whenever you set these times, you consider the pre-tone signal, there's 2 seconds almost. The time that it takes for it to decide it's going to transmit, which probably is close to 4 or 5 seconds. So once it comes on the air, you've got to be thinking to yourself, how long is this really going to take? That's why I use 2.8 seconds and a 15-second duration. The reason I put it in 15 seconds, I mean, I could get away with 4 or 5 seconds. That's all the repeater needs to reset. What if somebody wants to call me if there's an emergency or something like that on the repeater? This 15-second duration gives me a chance, all right, to hear somebody's voice coming over the repeater. So that's why I set it at 15 seconds. All right. I've been talking for 2 or an hour and a half now. I'm sorry the demonstration didn't work. I'm going to have, more than likely, I'll reboot the computer, just like like Doug says, every time it don't work, reboot. And it'll probably be, but I think I did nuts up the operation with the switching of the network. And you got to remember, FLDigi and FLMessage, unlike WinLink, WinLink is a self-contained program. It's all inside itself. FLDigi was not meant to be a messaging program. It was actually meant to be a keyboard RIDI program. And it has since just gone crazy. And W1HJK, who's a fantastic man, extremely, extremely intelligent, has made it more than what it is. I love it. It's a great program, works well. If I have long distance, big messages, I'm definitely going to use WinLink. But the thing is it's a great program. I mean, if, again, when FLMessage and FLDigi working together can send a lot of programs. At 8 PSK 1200, Dave and I, Dave N3SRO, sent 21 messages at 6 seconds per message on FLMessage. That is fast, but it's not long haul. It was from Sweet Valley, Pennsylvania to my house through a repeater on Red Rock Mountain. I needed a repeater. I needed, you know, a whole bunch of things in infrastructure. I needed a guy on the other end who knew how to set up his equipment. You know, it's something that it will work fast when everything works together. And Dave knew enough with FLMessage, because this is something people don't realize, is FLMessage is not a single window. FLMessage can be 9, 10 windows. So if you're preparing messages to go and you've got a message, somebody comes in and has a message, you put it in FLMessage, hit the save button, leave the window open. You may have 10, 12 of these. When you get your turn to send, you send them one right after another. As soon as one sends, you hear the repeater reset, you send the next message, keep going. Why do you want to open the file, find the next message, load the file, put it in there and send it when you can do them all at once? Okay, if you're over here with FLMessage, you can have one, there's another, there's another. So you can keep popping messages and filling them in and populating them as much as you like to. It doesn't take anything. I mean, you can have as many windows, FL message windows open as you want. Don't waste time. So when somebody says to you, I'm going to send you a message. So you got an FL message window open because you've been putting stuff in it. I am typing in here. FL Digi. FL Digi will be running over here. When he gets the message, he'll open a new window for you. The problem most people have is it'll open it right on, exactly on top of this message. Like when I opened this before, you see, oh, where'd my message go? Where'd the message go? It's right there. Move the window. It's really easy to find. So, all right, guys, I bored you to tears. I know it. I'm sorry. If I've offered, if anything, if I've given you anything that's been worthwhile, I hope you got something out of it. Questions? Go ahead. Hello. If you make sure you unmute yourself before you ask your question. Anybody? I have 25 people here. Nobody has a question.
Yeah, Walt, this is Doug.
I knew you'd have a question.
No, actually, I don't have a question. I was going to thank you for doing this.
Come on, you got to have a question.
No, I understood what you were saying. I actually did.
I'm thrilled, Doug. Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this. I know it was my suggestion to begin with, but this is great.
I think it was.
Sure, Jack's confused, but
I was
but thanks a million.
I expected Frank in here. I didn't see him. WB3ABR. Hello, Jack. I'm glad you're smiling yet. Good boy. Yeah, there's a lot here. I know you guys, Tim and all the guys who hear, they're used to listening to me talk, but K3D, DQB, all you guys, I appreciate you coming out tonight. Carl, especially you, really appreciate you being here. Martin, yeah, you're probably ready to fall over and go to sleep. But we did, I tried to get everything. Bill, thank you for being here. You were glad you brought your question up about printing. If anybody has a question, email me. I mean, wn3lif@w3luz.org. I mean, I'm not an expert. And as soon as I get the message, I will relay it to NY3J. And he can answer it. So that's the whole thing. If there's nothing else, I'm not going to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if it doesn't take 20 minutes, I have a question.
Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned several times about simplex. Why did you talk about simplex?
FM simplex is a very good place to be. You don't have repeater limitations, Bill. You don't have timeouts. You can actually do a lot of quick relaying on simplex. I had the fellows here on the D3DN do a simplex test. And what it was is I sent the first message to AB3ZI down in Plains, Pennsylvania. He sent it on up to KB3VS up in Sweet Valley, who sent it on and on and on. We passed it through, I think, 12 stations, if I remember correctly, 8 stations, something like that. But we didn't have to use a repeater. And simplex is often overlooked as being a valuable commodity for emergency communications. A lot of times it's a local area, Bill, so we just try to isolate and work in that area if we can, but it's a good idea. So that's the reason I mentioned it, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anybody else?
Thanks for doing this.
Yep. Oh, you're welcome, Bill. Believe me, you're welcome. I'm glad you got something out of it, bud. Anybody else? Bob, nod your head. KB3VS. Good, he's alive.
I was just gonna, 2 questions, one for Jack and one for John out there in Williamsport. Just wondering how those guys made out on the road trip today. And that was it. They were going down the line and buy stuff. Everything
You're breaking up, Bob. Okay, you're muted again. Okay, yeah, we'll let you guys talk about that after the fact. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me tonight. If we have no further questions, remember, next Tuesday night, WinLink. And I guarantee you it'll be shorter than this one. There is so much going on in FL Digi that I get excited about it. I love it. It's a fantastic program. WinLink is a tool for me. It's another thing I pick up out of the toolbox like a hammer, and it does a great job when it's needed, and I love it. So I'll see you all next Tuesday night. Please register for it in ARES Connect. If you guys want to take 2.5 hours for this, for lifting me drone on, take 2.5 hours. There is a Luzerne County one that you can put your time to if you don't have one in your own county. Thank you guys. Have a good evening. And it's almost 11 o'clock. Go to bed. Thanks, Martin, for being here.
Thanks, Walt.
73 all. Have a good night.
Take care, guys. Thank you very much. 7-3, Carl. Good seeing you.
Yep, 73.